The former Alabama quarterback has been medically cleared for all football activity after his scan came back clear yesterday. You know that Tua suffered the posterior wall fracture and dislocated hip in November. He has a pro day scheduled for April 9th, where NFL teams will see how he moves. The reporting on his scans yesterday was attributed to our Laura Rutledge. Laura, what else can you tell us about exactly the situation with Tua, how healthy he is, and what he's ready to do?
Yeah, so I think my main headline from all of this, and talking to Dr. Lyle Kane, the orthopedic surgeon from Alabama, he said if you had told him 4 months ago that the scan on Tua's hip would look this good with no concerns, he would have been ecstatic. That's how good it looks. Now, that's where we are so that Tua can get back out there and start doing more football-related activity. We're talking dropping back, being able to roll out a little bit more, and they'll take a conservative approach with that. His pro day, April 9th, is what's coming up, and then the day after that, April 10th, he'll have one more scan. That's to look for cartilage buildup in the hip, make sure everything is still okay after a month of activity that's more football related. And Greeny, that's the last time that these NFL teams' doctors will be able to look at Tua before the draft.
Okay, and so that leaves us, that will be 3 weeks roughly before the draft itself. So first and foremost, sitting at this table, raise your hand if you would seriously consider, if the doctors tell you he's healthy, raise your hand if you would seriously consider taking Tua ahead of Joe Burrow.
Oh,
okay.
It's hard.
Acho
They're both good.
I'm looking right at you, big fella. Why?
Tua's a better player than Joe Burrow when healthy. Like, let's make no mistake about it. By every statistical measure, including last year, Tua was better than Burrow. Now, Burrow is great. I will say it again for those who are already typing their tweets out. Burrow is great. Tua is better. Now, remember, Tua had a lot more uncertainty in his college career as far as offensive coordinators, here, gone. Tua's a phenomenal player. I would take Tua if he was completely healthy.
Right now, Diana is ripping
Diana's
you on Twitter.
tweeting.
I can see it. She's tweeting it.
I'm just like taking a picture of you while you do it, too.
Because the injuries, Diana, obviously the injury is the overwhelming factor.
Yeah, I'm going to take my opinion just based on people talking to people in the NFL, the decision makers here, and the health concern is always going to be number one up at this point. I love playing the fantasy land of 100% healthy, but he's not going to be 100% healthy. The Tua we saw previous to the injury is not going to be the same guy no matter how much he works back to, and it's going to be a risk for many of these teams.
So let me ask you this. If you were to put a number and say there's no way he drops lower than X, what is that number?
I'll give you 7. I think right now, I know we're predicting that he goes high. Just from what I can gather, it just seems there's still so much concern about that.
Bobby, 7, because I mean, and 7, that's Carolina, right? Carolina picks at 7, and the Chargers are at 6, and the Dolphins are at 5, and you have Detroit sitting there at 3, maybe tradable, and we've been talking about the possibility of him going 2.
I don't think he goes 2. I would say that he probably goes a little bit higher, maybe goes 5. And when you start comparing him and Joe Burrow, Green, you start looking at this, like, Tua might be more talented. And I would say that he probably has a more talented arm.
Speak on it, Bobby.
But let's not confuse talent with ultimately production on the field and what Joe Burrow was able to do, his field vision, his command, his leadership, all of these things that we put in a pot and say, hey, this is what makes an NFL quarterback, not a guy just dropping back and throwing the football. Tua's athletic. And I'm not saying that he's not a good leader. It's just when you look at this in totality and you look at the season that Joe Burrow put together and the end of his junior season, which people are just throwing out and saying, this guy had one good year. He had a good year and a half. And he also had to deal with 2 different coordinators, and he transferred. And there was adversity that he had. So I think he is especially equipped to be able to handle that #1 overall status, even in a place like Cincinnati, which may not be the most quarterback-friendly situation.
Yeah, and Tua also had 4 offensive coordinators during his time at Alabama, and he wasn't healthy for all that time, which is, of course, the sticking point. But I think one thing, back to the point of where he might be picked, Greeny, what I've heard, the Dolphins have been one of the most aggressive teams in asking about the health to the people that really know, the experts who have been involved in this hip and the ankle surgeries as well. Yeah,
look, they right now sit at 5. They have a whole lot of draft capital. If they want to, they could move up. Maybe if Diana's right, they don't need to. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube.
For more sports and analysis, download the ESPN app.
And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.